Hey there, fellow adventurers! I am Sunshade, and today we're gonna quickly go through the normal tactics for the last boss of the Nerub'ar Palace raid, Queen Ansurek. If you want the super short version of the tactics, use the timestamps, get to that part, but if you want to understand what everything does, stick around for the whole thing. Before you start the fight, split your raid in 2 groups, and we'll get back to this later. She also has a constant Acrid Presence aura, dealing nature damage to all the players every 2 seconds, so healers beware. Phase 1. Pull the boss and position her towards the edge of the room and have everyone loosely stack in melee range. Her Liquefy cast will deal a chunk of nature and physical damage to the active tank and place a dot on them, dealing damage and making them take increased physical damage for the next 30 seconds. So this is the moment to tank swap. The mechanic will also place green swirlies on the floor around players, which will turn into pools, so the tanks will need to move her around in order to make sure that the group has enough space for all the other mechanics, and of course dodge all the swirlies and the pools and bait them into the assigned areas. She will then cast Feast on the tank, dealing a huge chunk of physical damage to the active one, and placing an even bigger healing absorb on them, so make sure to pop defensives and heal. When Ansurek casts Reactive Toxin, one player will get a green arrow and a circle around them. Place this mechanic in close range to the boss, but not quite in melee. This will drop the circle on the floor, and it will have a green orb in the middle. It is very important that nobody touches the orb in the middle just yet. As the circle forms, the boss will start casting Venom Nova. By the time this cast ends, everyone in the group must be standing inside the circle, not touching the orb in the middle. As the Venom Nova cast ends, a large green ring will be expelled from under the boss, so you can use the circle to dodge the ring mechanic. So if your circle was placed at a good distance from the boss, as the Nova cast ends, have one assigned player touch the orb in the center, which will cause all the players inside to be pushed up and a bit forward, out of the green circle and to safety. The player who touched the orb will also get Concentrated Toxin, a big green circle around them, which they should drop on an edge, close to the other poison pools on the platform, and dodge the green waves coming from the nipple circle. If possible, place that circle on the same side as the pools, as that will also leave an acid pool behind. She will then cast Silken Tomb, placing silver circles around everyone. Stack around her without overlapping too many of these together, and quickly AoE down the webs rooting you. Freedom effects work, so players who can release themselves can be further back to avoid too much clutter. Her next mechanic is Web Blades, which you should dodge in order to avoid damage and a 95% slow. Intermission. Ansurek goes to the middle, don't be under her, as she will devour you. She casts Predation, gaining a shield you will need to break in order to move on with the fight. Rest will place web lines on the entire group, and at the end of the cast she will grip everyone towards her, trying to devour them. This ability also deals damage, so run to the edge of the room to not get gripped all the way into the boss. She will then cast Paralyzing Venom, a stacking dot on the entire group which slows by 4% per stack and increases damage taken by rest, while also expelling green waves from under her. Dodge the waves as they deal a lot of damage and apply more venom stacks and DPS down the shield. After a couple of these casts, she will do rest again, pulling everyone to her, so make sure you position yourself well and not get gripped to her through the waves. Once the shield is broken, phase 2 starts, and 2 Ascendant Void Speaker ads will spawn on opposite sides of the platform, so this is where you split the group in 2. The ads also cast Shadow Blast, dealing shadow damage to a player, so interrupt this. Once they are defeated, they start radiating gloom, dealing damage around them, and then cause a gloom eruption, dealing damage and pushing players away. Place your group between this orb and the platform you need to reach next, and wait to get pushed there. Also, make sure you never tank these ads together, as they become immune with Echoing Connection and deal increasing pulsating damage to the group, and this is the case for several of the phase 2 ads, but you generally don't need to worry about it as they are on opposing platforms. Echoing Connection also makes them echo 100% of the damage taken to the other one, thus helping you defeat both at the exact same time. On the first platform you get to, you will encounter a Chamber Guardian, which deals damage to the tank with Oust and knocks them away, also ejecting Ousting Fragments, which in turn also knocks players away, so care with positioning. The Chamber Expeller will cast an Expulsion Beam, marked with a void line on the floor, dealing damage and knocking away any player caught in it. Meanwhile, the boss will continue casting Rest, trying to pull the players off the platform, so make sure you are safely positioned away from her. Once the 2 ads are defeated, you can click the 2 small pillory stones to make a web bridge to the next platform. On the bridge, you will be attacked by caustic skitterers, so gather them and AoE them down. Next, you will finally reach the devoted worshipper, who casts a Cosmic Apocalypse, a very long cast which will wipe the group if it goes through. So you have limited time to do this entire phase, as the Apocalypse cast will wipe your group. He also places Gloom Touch on players, a dispellable buffs, so healers, it's your cue. Once he's down, take the next bridge to the last ad platform, where you will need to defeat some more skitterers and another Void Speaker, which, when defeated, will once again cause a Gloom Eruption, pushing players away to the next main platform if positioned well. During this time, the boss casts Acidic Apocalypse, a wipe mechanic, giving you thus limited time to do the last ad platform. Phase 3. Once you breach her chambers, she will start casting Aphotic Communion, imbuing herself with cosmic energy, ending in a big AoE blast, so pop defensives and a healing cooldown if necessary. She then leaps down to the platform, so dodge the circle she lands in. Ansurek casts Infest on the tank, placing a big circle on them, which later spawns Gloom Hatchling ads. Place this further away from the boss, CC and AoE the ads down quick, and don't let them reach the boss, as this will deal massive raid damage and increase her damage done by 20%. Meanwhile, she will also cast Gorge on the other tank, dealing physical damage and increasing their damage taken, so swap tanks for every Gorge. This also deals AoE damage to the raid and places swirlies on the floor, which again should be dodged. The boss will also occasionally cast Royal Condemnation on random players, dropping massive webs on them and dealing AoE damage to the raid, reduced by distance. The webs should be placed away from the raid. When Ansurek casts Abyssal Infusion, she places Void Circles on 2 group members, which will later drop portals like we had on Zymox in Shadowlands. When they drop, they will deal damage to nearby players and knock them back. Place one of the portals on the inner edge of the platform and one on the outer edge. At 100 energy, the boss will bind all the players with webs and try to drag them towards her once more, so run away from her and use the portals to dodge the Frothing Gluttony Void Circle when it happens, breaking the webs as well. After this ability, the portals explode, drop gloom on the floor, and glowy orbs are expelled in all directions. Dodge all of this and maybe place the portals a little bit better than we did so you can still reach the boss after, or discuss with your group which way you go next. There are also some abilities I unfortunately could not get footage of, as our kill was pretty quick, but I will mention them here. The boss will also summon 2 ads in phase 3 with a CC immunity shield on them. DPS them down to break the shield, interrupt them, and kill them before the Void Circle reaches them. Otherwise, she will eat them and gain 100% extra damage per ad, so pretty much a wipe. If your raid is a little bit slow to DPS, be aware that she will enrage after the 4th Frothing Gluttony, the Void Circle, so try to get her down before this happens. And for those who don't have time to learn what the abilities actually do, here is the super duper short version of the tactics. Phase 1. Tank boss on the edge, have everyone be around melee, dodge swirlies and green pulls. Put the green circle near melee, don't touch the middle. At the end of her Venom Nova cast, touch the middle to get safe. Dodge the green waves. Place the big circle on the edge. Place silver circles in melee, AoE down the roots. Intermission. DPS the shield, don't get pulled into the center, dodge the green waves. Phase 2. Split into groups and kill your Void Speaker ads. Use the pushback to reach the platform. Defeat more ads. Dodge everything. On the 3rd platform, defeat the Void Speaker, use the knock to get to the boss platform yet again. Phase 3. Place Infest on the edge, nuke the ads and CC them. Place the Void Circles on the inner and outer edges of the platform and use the portals to skip the Void Circle. Dodge the glowy orbs. If you get ads, DPS, interrupt, and defeat them. Loot the boss. Good job. I hope you guys found the guide helpful, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed this type of content. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to get in touch with me more easily, consider joining my community Discord or dropping by on Twitch when I live stream. The links are in the description below. See you in the next one. Bye!